Malusi Gigaba, and he of course will appear before Parliament's Home Affairs Portfolio Committee tomorrow. The committee wants answers regarding the construction of the Customs and Immigrations Terminal at the Oppenheimer's Fireblade business facility at O R Tambo Airport. And this comes after the Oppenheimer family told Parliament last week that the minister has lied, as he is the one who approved the construction of the terminal at the facility. And last week, the Public Protector's report also found the minister to have violated the Constitution and the Executive Ethics Code by lying in court. Hlomane Chauke, who's a chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, joins us now he's in studio with us here in Johannesburg. Thanks so much for coming through, Mr. Chauke.
Good morning.
So this has been a very interesting one, but let's start here. As the Portfolio Committee, what information exactly do you require from Minister Gigaba?
Well, look, the matters, as we all know, that they have now gone to the court, and the court have pronounced. The judgment has been given on the permission for the Oppenheimer's Fireblade, which is the company, to operate the terminal. The concern of the committee is that the state is providing a service, meaning that government and government departments, not only Home Affairs, you have the Department of Health, SARS, you have finance, you have agriculture and all of that, because they deal with international guests and international travel. So therefore, the position of the committee is that there must be an agreement for the state to provide such services, because you use public money. These are employees of the state that provide the service into a private a company. So therefore, the call that we are making is that now that the court has pronounced, what we need from the Department of Home Affairs, which is the leader at the Border Management Committee, because Home Affairs becomes the leader. Once you deal with international movement of people at the ports of entry, Home Affairs becomes the leader of that. Therefore, the call that we are making is that we want that agreement between the state and the private company, and Home Affairs will have to give us that agreement.
And this is where it becomes curious, isn't it? Because one would assume that that agreement would be readily available.
Well, based on the engagement we've had so far, with the Fireblade people, we're told that there is a draft agreement. So hence, what we call now, the operations are what we'll call gentleman's agreement. If there's no one who has attached his signature, if there's a draft agreement, it means just a gentleman agreement. And we cannot do that with state money. I mean, this is money of the people. You know, how therefore we as the Committee of Parliament do oversight? Because we have a responsibility to do oversight over that particular activity there. That is happening at the port of entry at the national key point. How do you allow such to happen without an agreement? So the point that we are making is that we're now told that that agreement is lying in the Department of Home Affairs. We want the minister tomorrow to come and share with us. But at the same time, with all the judgments now that have come out, we now know of the report of the Public Protector. We know of the Constitutional Court ruling that the appeal was then dismissed. The base of the committee, we supported the minister when he appealed at the Constitutional Court, because we believe what he told Parliament then was correct. Because our view was that you cannot have a private facility within a national key point. And we supported him. And when he loses the appeal, it's the honest for him to come back and said, I've now lost the appeal. This is the way forward. And the only way forward that we have, there must be an agreement, because the court has pronounced they have a right to operate there. And those issues are issues that are required to be finalized.
Mr. Chauke, as the Portfolio Committee and exercising your oversight duty in this regard, you did an in loco inspection at this particular facility, which I believe afterwards you said it left you with many more questions. But you also had the Oppenheimers in Parliament appearing before you last week. So surely, if there's an agreement, the Oppenheimers, as the owners of Fireblade Aviation, should also have their copy of the agreement. Did you ask them for it?
No, we did. By the way, we did. We said by Friday, meaning that the last Friday. And where I'm sitting now, I'm told that the document is being sent to Parliament. Because we said, give us the copy. If you'll then definitely have a draft. Even if it's not signed, give us the copy. But this matter does not only involve only Home Affairs. Therefore, all these other departments will have to be incorporated into that agreement. Because as I've said, that the health department is involved, finance is involved, agriculture is involved. So all of them, that agreement will have to cover them. So that when you provide that service, it's a service that is agreed upon and someone takes responsibility of payment. for that service, meaning that the private company, because they are there to make profit. They are not there to run charity. They are making profit. So they need to pay for the state. The services that the state provide, they must pay for it. And we have came to learn that not only the Oppenheimers now, even the Lanseria Airport and the Kruger Airport, all of them receive state support, meaning that the state function there with immigration and all of that, and for free. And they make profit, and the state does not get anything from them. So we are going to make this call, in fact, moving forward, that all of them will have to come to Parliament account, but there must be a law that governs such arrangement in place. Currently, there is no policy that governs such arrangement. So it's the responsibility of Parliament to make sure that the law is in place, there's a clear policy in place, but for now, we want to see those agreements signed.
But you're talking about draft contracts, and as per the Public Finance Management Act, surely that's not allowed.
Well, you can't do that. That is why we say this operation currently is a gentleman's arrangement, right? But once the court pronounced in January, it means that it needed the department to spearhead and make sure that by the time they start with their international operations, that agreement is in place, right? So from January to date, there's no agreement. How do we do oversight? How do we account for public money? If any of these officers of the state goes there and died in that space, how are we going to account for that? You know?
Let's talk about that for a minute, because if seemingly on the face of it, as you and I are speaking right now, the prescripts of the law have not been abided by in terms of this particular agreement. Would you agree with me on that?
No, definitely so. Definitely so. Because the state is already providing a service where there's no agreement. Clearly, PFMA will not allow that. So
why aren't you acting right now as the portfolio committee?
This is exactly what we're doing. That is why the call that we are making is the same call that says that there must be adherence to the law, to the latter. And this is what we're doing. Hence, the accountability we want from the minister. It's nothing else. We're not fighting anything. What we want, we just want accountability for us to be able to report to the public.
But what more can you do? Because as per your own admission, public funds are already being used to actually make good on this gentleman's agreement, as you call it. So can that be stopped?
Well, we have to. If really this agreement does not come, how do we justify them providing a service to a private arrangement where there is no, a benefit of the state, or where the law was not being followed to the latter? That is why we're now beginning to look at not only the issue of the Fireblade, we're now looking at the Lanseria, we're looking at the Kruger International Airport, because all of these are areas that the state services them. So we have to find a way, agently by the way, to resolve this matter.
So why haven't you told them to stop forthwith?
Look, what we're dealing with, you must know that we're dealing with a court order. Right, the Fireblade, first of all, there's been a court order, the appeal was dismissed, and the honor rests with the department to have resolved these matters for now, right? So rather than, disenfranchising the Fireblade for now, what we will push for is that agreement must be signed and must in black and white. If not, we do not have another option but to really look at the last mechanism, which will be ready to stop services. And all of them, by the way. If we were to do that, it's not only going to be the Fireblade, both Lanseria, Kruger International Airport, so that all of us then have an understanding of this kind of services that the state is providing to these private companies.
Mr. Chauke, I put it to you that you are being lenient in this regard, and I'll tell you why. Because by the minister's own admission, he says that Fireblade is actually operating without following policy. So the minister says that. You went there and you have found through your own research that the prescripts of the law have not been adhered to. Why hasn't it been stopped?
Look, the minister's argument is supposed to have put his argument at the court. He went to the court. He filed an affidavit there, and then the matter was dismissed at the court, right? By that time, we allowed him to do that, because as a committee, we said, we're going to support you even as you go to your appeal at the Constitutional Court. We did that. He has even lost the appeal now at the Constitutional Court, right? And the finding of the judgment, it's not a good finding, because it says he lied under oath, right? So these are serious matters that we are now going to be dealing with. That is why tomorrow he had to come explain himself fully to the committee on all these activities that he has begun. Because you see, if you talk about him having been given an opportunity to put his case was put through an affidavit. Once you deposit an affidavit at court, that affidavit is your voice, right? So there will be no other opportunity again, other than the appeal that he has done. And that appeal, he has lost that appeal. So the honor is for him to come back to Parliament. Let's look at this matter again. If need be that we invite all the departments that are responsible, we're going to do that as Parliament, because ours is to make sure that there's accountability, public money is used properly, and that's what we do. And there's a law in place that will govern such arrangement.
So the court order was in January. Do you know what has been done since then?
Look, well, the issues that I came to learn when I joined the committee, by the way, almost 3 months or 4 months ago, it was the very same process of now having the court having a pronounce on the judgment and the appeal process. So it means that between the court judgment and the appeal, nothing was happening, right? So they left it depending on the appeal, the outcome of the appeal. Now that the appeal has been dismissed, that's the only time now that we'll start to look at the issues, right? So nothing was done in between. It means that from January to date, those services were provided. Yes, they are being provided every day. You go there when there's a private jet that is landed there, Home Affairs, Immigration, SARS, everybody goes there and they perform. So at the business level, these guys, they're just running their business. It's normal for them. His honor is on the state to make sure that there is that particular, provision and accountability.
But they're running a business illegally as per various accounts.
Well, the court has pronounced on those matters. Once the court has pronounced, the state has a responsibility to make sure that they adhere to every single legal agreement that must be there. The honor is on the state, right? But they're there on the business of making money. Right? They are there, they are running that Fireblade. The state, if the state has a problem, the state will have just stopped providing those services. When the plain land immigration officers goes there. So the state is providing a service. So the honor is on the state to be clear and to make sure that they have an agreement.
So it takes two to tango, though?
Well, generally, at the level of Parliament, that's what we want to see. We want to see action. And the action that we'll do is this call that we are making, because the ball now is with the state. Right? Government will have to come and say, now with regard to those services that we provide, here is an agreement that we have now put in place. And this is what because to an extent that the Fireblade, we're told that they are paying about 117,000 rand, right? So on what? What informs that 117,000, right? Who has done those calculations? Of whom do they pay to?
That's what I wanted to ask. Who's it being paid to, and where is it reflected?
That is why we then said, give us all that information so that we get to know of all these payments, what informed this payment. It means if you are paying something, it means somehow there is an agreement somewhere. But where is that? They did not even have it when they came. And we were told that they will submit the necessary documents to prove that they are making this payment. So this is what we are going to be dealing with when we meet with the minister.
So a minister who says he's under siege from those who actually want to obliterate him politically. We saw last week the public protector also issuing a report that impugns the integrity of the minister. Previously, there was a court judgment to the same sort of effect. As the Oversight Committee, what's your take on this?
Well, from the level of the committee, we believe that in this country there's a law. And there are systems that are in place, structures that are in place. We have the courts, which deals with any problem that one may encounter, in partial courts. They're very clear. You have the public protector, Chapter 9 institutions. There's no problem there. I don't even see politics there. Here, what I see, I just see failure to have given leadership on a matter that required a proper arrangement to be put in place, an agreement to be put in place. That's the only issue here that we're dealing with. The issues of politics, conspiracy, unless it's proven really. But for me, where I'm sitting from the committee point of view is that the state, the government, failed in fact to make sure that there is a proper agreement in place for the operation of the Fireblade. That's where the problem is. Because all these other things really are, I don't find them anywhere, except the fact that we are not able to provide a proper agreement for the people to operate as we have agreed that they must operate.
Well, Mr. Chauke, thanks so much for stopping by this morning. And then, of course, Mr. Hlomane Chauke, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, chatting to us here this morning. And as always, we invite your comments at Morning Live SABC, #Morning Live. Tell us what your views are. Let's take a quick break.